The child needs a helping hand, or he'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? Will the world turn? A hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the street as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. And his hunger burns. He starts to roam the streets at night. He learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto.
A black boy was he. The boy went to school and he come out unseen. Never learned how to read, he never learned about math. Never learned how to write, he never studied about that. All he studied was his speakers, his sneakers and clothes. He learned how to dress and he learned how to pose. He can't get no work, he can't get no job. He decide to steal and he decide to rob. But little black boy couldn't last long at all. The police put a bullet through his duncy head skull. Little black boy, go to school and learn. Little black boy, show some concern. Little black boy, education is the key to get you off the street and off poverty. Little black boy, go to school and learn. Little black boy, show some concern. Little black boy, education is the key to get you off the street and off poverty. And one more little black vagrant in the country. Little black boy, go to school and learn. Little black boy, show some concern. Little black boy, education is the key.
Yes indeed, of course. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. It is, the Thursday edition, of the Corridor Transformation. And while, of course, I'm smiling, it's because as a consequence of a hectic week, I'm looking forward to, of course, my Friday off. My Friday off, yes, but all is not yet done until, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. So, of course, we continue the series with respect to progress and what are the components, the elements to look at, particularly for young people and for people in, of course, the ghetto. Some call it that. Some call it, of course, depressed communities. And the police call it, of course, crime hotspots. Whichever the definition you prefer to use, the fact of the matter is that there is deprivation. There is, of course, abject need, and that the society itself must be brought to understand that since these people that occupy these communities are also citizens, that equity must prevail, the rule of law must be supreme, and that the equality of treatment must be a major democratic agenda, or put another way, pursuance, because without that you are going to have injustice. And as we have said about President Kennedy, late, of course, one of the presidents of the United States, and that of Martin Luther King, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And therefore, rectification comes in different forms. It comes violently, it comes in social rebellion and upheaval, and it also comes, of course, in what I like to call divine intervention. Because those who perpetuate because they believe that they have a position in the society that is unassailable, meaning that they are untouchable, I want to tell them that the day of rectification will come, if not in this life, in another life. In another life. So be good. You can be black, yes, because you have no control over that. But everyone can have control over being good or bad, or being progressive. Let's see a little more before, of course, we introduce Joshua. Yes, he is with me tonight, as per usual, as expected. And of course, let me make sure that the line is open, because I know people have been waiting, and they like to, some of you like to call in early, like Miss Madras last night. So let me make sure that the line is open, and that I think we are in a better place in terms of communication with you. And I trust that tonight will go flawless. We will have very little difficulty in communicating with you out there. That being as it may, I see Joshua nodding and so on, so I don't know if you're ready to sleep, but normally I take away his device, yes, his cell phone, because I like the rest of you who have children, you cannot separate them from that device, and they engage, of course, in activity, because these days I tell them, make sure and show me the educational website or the educational app that you are pursuing, and he never does it unless I insist that I want to see it. And that of course shows a certain amount of what I consider to be insincerity, because it breeds insincerity, simply because if you give your child an instruction, they are expected, of course, to carry it out to the letter. Until they themselves get their own children, they will understand the value of that. They rebel, yes, but none of us are immune from that, as either parents, grandparents, as the case may be. That being as it may, 337-6940, 337-6940 is the number to call. But in the meantime, of course, let's introduce Joshua. Joshua will, of course, make certain every night that he is in the picture, and that his head doesn't shift to the direction where his head is out of the picture. By now, he should be a professional at staying in the picture. But that being as it may, a pleasant good night, son. How are you today? You see, you shift out of the picture now. All right, okay. So, like when you come on the program now, there's a different, I wouldn't say trick, but a different character seems to come over here, because he's rubbing his eyes, etc., etc. So I don't know what is happening there. But tell us, loud and clear. Let's hear what is happening, man. Liven up. You are on air at this point in time. Go ahead.
I am feeling sick.
You're feeling sick? Huh? All right, well, then it means that we can't have any program tonight with you. What's the issue?
I have the cold and I don't feel it.
And just before the program, you were telling me and engaging in the internal monitor there. I thought, well,
I was trying to do my best.
you're trying to do your best, right? But you're still in that mood. All right, you want to read for us quickly tonight, or you don't want to? You have the option. I know that you went to the library today. I know that you got caught up in the rain. Yes, there's a huge shower there. Always look at the screen to make sure that you are in the picture. All right, and let's quickly run over if you so desire. If not, we will skip tonight, because we have a lot of catching up to do with the audience. All right, he's still insisting that he wants to read. I'll give him a break and he still wants to read. That is a good attitude, people, where, of course, in spite of challenges, your children are willing to, of course, go the distance. Well, then that's a good sign. Go ahead quickly.
So the name of this book is How the Fisherman Tricked the Genie.
The what?
How the Fisherman Tricked the Genie.
Oh, how the fisherman tricked the genie. I mean, that fable, that story, that myth of a genie. I don't know how a fisherman could trick a genie, because a genie would have certain powers. But I suppose I think you had to have at least call for three things once you are the discoverer of the genie and let them out of the box or the genie bottle. But that being this way, let's hear what he has to say, and then of course we will have him go and take a rest, because tomorrow is the last day of school for the week. Go ahead, but he has to go to school no matter what, because this sick talk, we as parents will not focus or contemplate or tolerate for any length of time, and I think he had enough days from school already. Go ahead.
You watch too much movie.
I watch too much movie. Yeah, talks. But he could tell me in the morning he feeling sick, can't go to school. And of course, as he has said tonight. So I tell him that I'm watching too much movie. You understand? You understand why I say that it may be trickery. But let's go ahead. Go ahead, read, son.
The child is young, the day is old.
The child is young, the day is old.
My story is waiting, it wants to be told.
Always look at the mirror to make sure that you're in focus, right? Okay. I know the book is a big, huge, but that's all right. Yes.
The child is young, the day is old. My story is waiting, it wants to be told. Okay then.
Yeah.
Once there was a poor fisherman who lived by the shores of the
Arabian, yeah, very good, yes.
Arabian seas. Every day he would go down to the shining waters and cast out his net, but every day it was harder and harder for him to make a living by fishing. Finally, he decided he would only cast out his 3 nets more times, and if he did not make something miraculous,
Very good, miraculous, yes. Go ahead. Very good, man.
miraculous catch, he would turn the net he would turn in his net and go to beg on the street. The first time he cast out his net, he pulled it in empty. The second time he casted out, it was very, very heavy and hard to pull. But instead of fish, he only got the only thing in the net was a giant rotting tree stump.
Rotting tree stump. All right. Very interesting. Getting very interesting. But that's my gravity, right? I wouldn't force it too much, so you can pause there and then we'll continue. Of course, you got that book today. You got that book in your library today. All right. And did you read it before? Or is it the first time that you're reading it tonight on air? Just open it tonight.
I think the reason why I'm feeling sick is because when I was looking to walk home from the library, it just started raining, but the book wasn't wet because I had the book in a bag.
Oh, I see. And that's around the time or before or after you called me to rescue you at the library? After, okay, right. Well, yeah, because he had asked me, it was raining, bucket had dropped in Port of Spain. He showed me, in fact, with the camera phone, this situation. But by the time I was preparing to get there, because the rain was falling as well, I had to go outside to get into the car. We don't have a garage here on George Street to just move from inside, under cover or protected from the rain to go into the car. So I had to wait myself. But by that time, the showers was over, so I knew that he would have had no difficulty now in getting back home. The library is just about about 3 or 4 streets away from us here on George Street. Where we are, we can go in the back and see the twin towers, and we can see, of course, the government plaza complex. So that's how close we are. If there were no buildings, we would have been able to see Woodford Square from here as well. But on a clear morning, like a Saturday and so on, we can stay on Prince Street, which is not too far again. Just 2 houses from us, or 2 buildings from us. We can see very, very clearly the Woodford Square as well as the Red House. That's how close we are to the center of action, administrative and otherwise, in Port of Spain. No, do not knock on the mic. Go ahead. You want to give your closing remarks?
Well, when it was sunny up here, it was actually raining very bad down there. When it was sunny up here, it was still raining down there.
All right. Yeah, well, I accept that.
And I had to wait at least 10 minutes for the rain to stop, or more, 20 minutes.
Right. All right.
Then after the rain.
Okay. All right, son. Well, thank you very much, of course, for. I had some questions for you on math and English, but I will leave that for another day. And go and rest early, because you have to go to school tomorrow in spite of the challenges that you have. So make sure, tell mommy to give you something hot, and know that there's some medicine that we got recently. I know that she's going to do that as well. Saying bye-bye? Bye-bye. All right. Okay then. Yes, people, so that was Joshua, of course, having not a good day today because of but he did go to the library, and therefore, of course, that is something that I insist upon. I registered him with the library very, very early, and so, of course, I would advise parents to do so. But you may well ask the question, well, Smith, you always say that there is no need for the library because a computer, which he has as well. He has a laptop, and sometimes he uses the larger system here. But and you'd say, well, there's no need to go to the library because the computer will provide you with all the books in the world, etc., etc., and therefore you can read from that, and you can glean and learn from that. Well, I want to tell you, it is not hypocrisy why I have joined him in the library. You see, where libraries exist, the traditional reason, quite apart from accessing books, which of course your computer ought to have, and you could access, of course, through the internet. But the most important in this case, for me, you as a parent will have to make your own determination whether or not you will join your child in a library of your convenience, or if it is available. So the first case, in my case, it has to be available. It's the National Library on Abercrombie Street. Right, that's the first thing. The second thing is that there they will meet their peers, they will meet children possibly with similar interests, at least children coming to the library, so at least that is a common interest. But there may be other interests, like, of course, whether it be science, whether it be they like reading, they can read for each other, talk about their own experiences, and so on and so forth. And in that way, because these days, one of the things that, well, not these days, but ever since, it has been proven that when students work in group, they get more accomplished, one, and everybody seems to be up to speed with the material that they are expected, of course, to inculcate. And usually, especially these days, you have group, of course, marks for the continuing education process that I think is a good move, introduced, I believe, in earnest by the previous UNC administration, and I'm sure that they will deepen that process this time around, similar to that of Japan and other developed countries, where continuous education is a very important component of the educational cycle, if you want to call it that, or the process of development as individuals, as institutions, and as, of course, a society. So those are the reasons why I would encourage him to go to a library. One, because it is available and easy access. Two, when they go there, of course, they meet children of similar interests. And thirdly, of course, it's part and parcel of the continuous education process. But more importantly, get them familiar with books and the need to edify themselves, and the more that they expose, is better the possibility that they will be successful at whatever exam that they have to. Of course, Joshua's first let's say, exposure to a major exam will be, of course, 2 years from now, thereabout, when he, of course, would be exposed to the C exam, and after that, of course, CXC, and then I expect that to advanced level, and then, of course, to university. At least that is my expectation. Whether he is up to the task or not, of course, will depend on his performance in these various, let's say, segments or standards, or put another way, exposures that he would have going forward as a young adult. So that being as it may, of course, I thought it was important to treat with that. The line is open, 337-6940. I thought that was very important. But progress, the imperative of progress. Last night I spoke of the difficulties, and of course you would see that one of the underpinnings of the issue last night was that of incompetence, hypocrisy, and of course the manipulation of resources and the insincerity of persons who claim they are interested in the development of the country, and therefore I like to reverse it now, and that's reverse extension I'm talking about now, reverse extension. And therefore, in their community, their village, their neighborhood, and indeed their family, and of course the family is made up of individuals, the basic unit of any society. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that to make the point in all practicality, and of course you see that I'm wearing my love jersey, Lavatil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, the party that is in the coalition of interests led by currently the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Prasad Bissessa, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissessa, and the UNC. And you may ask the question, what does that have to do with progress? Well, you see, I've always said that experience is the best teacher. And having been exposed and engaged over literally all of my adult life, except, of course, where I would have taken hiatus for academic and other developmental reasons. Let's go to the line. Pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Well, this is their partner.
Yes, man. I heard your contribution, I think, this morning on the ground report. But of course, it was deja vu because I heard it partially before, but usually it is normally splendid and, of course, right on the button. But go ahead, my friend, from Diego Martin.
I could send you Mike Singer interview. I got part of it with JW. I could send you everything where he castigated the traitors in CARICOM.
Yes.
So I'll send that to you later. Let us talk about the police now, and I'm very, very happy.
Okay.
What I'm seeing with the I can't say newly minted Commissioner of Police, but something has transformed the police service to get things done, rapid response. They're going after the criminals. It looks like the intelligence gathering of the police is far superior to what has happened. And let us compare this Commissioner of Police to the previous. And we started with Stephen Williams, Gigi, Tojam, Ula, and compared to the results we are having now. And it's chalk and cheese. Look what we are seeing. We are seeing a major drop of 340 million. That is deja vu again. You remember Monos Island, 700 million drug bust?
Yes, very distinctly, like it was yesterday.
I want to ask myself, has Mr. Big resurfaced? You are seeing a number of interceptions with boats coming from Venezuela with Venezuelan migrants. And before, all of these things wasn't probably on the front burner, it was not happening. So I want to know if the 13 Judases, the O'Halloran clone, the opposition party, was basically facilitating crime and criminal activities, drug trafficking within Trinidad and Tobago. No, the former Taipan said it cost us $20,000 to $25,000 per month to harbor a criminal, right?
Yes, to facilitate a prisoner in the national system. Go ahead.
Right. We had 200 of them that our government want to repatriate to Venezuela, and they're finding difficulty. I wonder if Mia and Gonzalez will take some of them. If they're so in bed with Maduro, take some of the people who run in the country, running away from this country. I think we should put that on the front burner, you know. Say, oh, they're so close to this man. Or take some of it and help me, because it is a burden to me as a taxpayer to suffer that cost. Seeing that all you getting free oil kind of thing. We are getting no free oil from Venezuela, so they could help us out with that. So the other thing is, it is laughable to hear a police officer went with a son to sell I think it's marketplace, to sell a hoodie. And the police, you know the old saying, do as I say and not as I do? They always pontification what we not to do. And they basically doing it. Imagine a police officer going with his son So we are picking up until fixing and they wanted to rob it. Luckily she had she gun and she pulled it and the bandit escaped. But that tells me half of the police service doesn't understand what we want them to do. And then I'm coming back to the police service, POLSC, we have to get rid of them. But the biggest issue now is Balmati.
Is what?
AGC. Balmati and AGC.
Yes, right.
WPC. You remember, she split AGC into 3 organizations to get, as she said, to get efficiency, but I think she did that to hide the corruption. Look what we're seeing. All this outstanding receivable that basically she was allowing supporters of the PNM to get away with it, and we as taxpayers had to fund that. So the PNM, we have to keep them outside it for the next 15 years for this country to come back on keel, so we could get some breathing space. I'm going to have a nice night.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. And of course, I'm sure that increasingly so, and if people are not yet on board and have drawn, of course, the inescapable conclusion, they ought by now have in regard to the revelations. Now, the revelations that are taking place almost on a daily basis, it is as if it is ad nauseum, as if what we were saying then, by way of speculation, by way of perception, and of course, in order for you to have a perception and to have it, or have you convinced by that perception, there must be some building block, some indication. It's nothing different to policing, of course. Reasonable suspicion, for example, a fella hanging around a grocery that is closed on a holiday. He may have a bag in his hands. So reasonable suspicion will suggest that he wants to do something untoward and therefore requires an investigation. It may turn out that he was an employee that probably locked himself out or didn't have the keys. You understand where I'm coming from? That is a possibility as well. But it does not take away the fact that an individual would have formulated a position, a perception in such circumstance that usually he or she is right, except of course in very, what I consider to be unique or very rare circumstance. That's the point I am making. So it is right for the caller to, of course, draw certain conclusions, as you have as a human being, and you have the right so to do in, especially if it's a democracy. So I have no difficulty in, of course, the caller, and he has been very consistent in that regard in terms of weeding out the bad apples that may still and will, once they would have been weeded out already in the police service. But I was making the point about progress and the fact that using myself as the example, all of my adult life been engaged, of course, in this intervention in relation to the community that I have grown up in, Laventille. And very early, even though I was teaching and so on, but I expressed my concern. And last time I told you, I gave you an anecdote about, of course, that young man, Sergeant, who, his title is in fact Sergeant, who ended up being a police officer. I don't know if he's a sergeant by now. So I hope that the distinction is recognized. So his name is Sergeant, and I don't know if he's a sergeant by now. But I gave you the anecdote last night about the fact that he came and, of course, he humbled himself and he divested himself of all the pride and dignity that individual will want to exude because of their independence and being a human being, etc. And I was making a point against the background of what we propose to offer to the immediate and wider community here on George Street, environs, and Nelson Street, and of course the occupants of the various housing high-rise buildings that are all around. And I was making the point against the background that people should not feel ashamed in circumstances where your own development is required. And I always tell my students, please do not postpone for what I consider to be vanity. Do not postpone because of vanity, because of the fear of something, whether it be embarrassment, etc. Do not postpone your education because of the embarrassment that you may or may not be exposed to. Why am I saying that? And why am I putting it in the context of immediate? Because you see, if you are lured and if you are a victim of that situation, then you are only postponing temporarily the same embarrassment that would occur later down the road in your life. So you are 15, you are 16, you are 17. But you can't spell car or you're in an environment where, of course, you want to edify yourself. And a friend tell you, a big man like you going to school? That's a real situation I'm talking here about, me talking about nobody tell me, and I'll give you a couple of it so you'll have a better understanding of what I'm talking about and where I'm going. So I would say, listen, what you're doing here is avoiding future embarrassment. Because suppose you postpone or you neglect the opportunity that you have now. An opportunity here has several connotations and has, of course, several nuances or variables that we can, of course, project. And I'm sure I am not speaking to the new, to the infant. I'm sure I'm speaking to a very mature audience that would have had their own experiences, as I have. And it is because of the attitude that would have been adopted will determine whether or not you postpone now future embarrassment, or you grasp today the opportunity that is available in order to ensure that you be the best that you can moving forward and into the future. That is what we are talking about. I remember very distinctly, and I'm not introducing or in my case reintroducing the school leaving exam vike or without analysis or experience. You see, when we discovered at our Fernandez compound facility that housed, of course, at any one time 300 young people, about 15, 16 years just out of school, and did not do well at whatever level, whether it be primary, secondary, etc. But they are there. One of these things we discovered is that many of them cannot read well. Their literacy level unacceptable. And therefore we sat as a team and said, listen, we must find a way to make our charges or those students, whether they are 16 years or 20 years, we would have had up to about 22 years we would have accommodated in the program. We cannot sit idly by and not ensure that these young people become at minimum, functionally literate. You ever say, I said that we sat when we saw the problem of illiteracy in the Laventille, Beetham, Sealands area and tell ourselves, dealing with, of course, young people in that case. Of course, now we are contemplating on dealing with even the adults. So whether you be middle-aged or even senior citizen status, it doesn't matter. Because these days, education is about a continuum. And so when we saw the problem, we said that they must at least be functionally literate. What do I mean by functionally literate? I mean that they must be able to read an advertisement, read and of course engage an employment form, read their electricity bill, read the notice on a store, read a street sign. You get the drift. So that they become functionally literate, because these are things that you experience on a daily basis. A letter coming from school, for example. In my case, of course, when my letter comes to me from the school, while of course he has the duty, my son, the duty to of course convey it, sealed and everything else, to me, when he reaches home, I ask him to open it and he reads it for me. He reads it for me. And that is not to say that I have abdicated my responsibility. No, there are some sticklers, there are some people who are so structured in their discipline that they would feel like, listen, the child reading a letter for the parents, a letter directed to the parents. No, that is not the reason. The reason is to assist him as he practices and regurgitates every opportunity to read. And therefore, the more he reads, is more, of course, he becomes better at reading, as is everything else. As an educator, I'm sure all educators will agree with me. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Lennox Smith, pleasant good night to you, sir.
Good night to you as well, my friend. Yes.
Lennox Smith, I just want to shift from your program a little. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Right. The stand your ground consultation that the UNC had leading up to the election, right?
Yes.
Did the UNC, at the time when it was in opposition, did they keep any consultation in the PNM constituency?
That is a very good question, but I want to tell you yes, because I attended one at the Missouri Inn located in Mova. You can't be more PNM than that, and it was well attended.
Okay, because the reason why I asked that, the PNM was down in my area tonight, in the town hall in the borough.
Uh-huh.
And you know, they sort of asked the people in the audience if they have any questions or concern. So I was kind of in and out because of the nonsense Corey Marcel was talking. So it had one of them, that guy who talked, I mean he's a PNM till he's there too, but he turned around and he's saying that this consultation that the UNC have, like, is a kind of discrimination against the PNM constituency. And he said he can't remember that the UNC did keep any of those consultations in the PNM area. And he said, what will they keep it is in the UNC area. So I said, let me call you and find out if they will keep any in the PNM area.
Well, I'm sure all the PNM people who are looking, and of course would have a sort of residual hatred because they just want to hear what has to be said on this program, would be scratching their head now and saying, but Marcel is extremely ill-informed because we had one in Missouri to cover, of course, all of the Lavantills and including Mova. And you don't want to be more PNM than that. And it was, as I say, well attended. Go ahead.
Right, but Lennox, check this. I was happy. I thought the people at Point Fortin didn't wake up, but they did wake up. Because they started to throw some questions behind Corey Marcel and the next one on the panel. And watch now, you can clearly see that these people don't want the average person to defend themselves in the home. Lennox, when I get a chance, you can review what it is that take place in Point Fortin, and you can see these people and them was concerned about the well-being of the house is concerned.
I will, my friend. And who wouldn't? Who wouldn't be any reasonable person had to be I wouldn't even go as far as on patriotic, but certainly lacking in respect for their own circumstance, having regard to what we know, not to be, of course, to be as reckless as that. But go ahead.
Because when I listen to the argument, they say, one of the panelists say, if in a home invasion or if they had the upper hand, I just palm face him. And they decide to run. And you should be behind them. You know, the police go hold you liable for that person dead. And I say to myself, so what about when the shoes of the other foot where the home invaders now come in your home and you trying to escape and you get shot? How you know dealing with that? So they only trying to make it look like the person who had the legal firearm, they're starting a chance if they defend themselves to the extreme. So they're telling you only have a little bit of way to defend yourself, but they're telling you how the criminal and them have all the rights to come in your home to insist that you don't make it out alive. These people are defending the criminals, these people are the criminals. And if the people don't understand their logic, something is wrong with them. But I realize several important people show that they're concerned. And that is a good place to be. Because Corey Marcel come with nonsense and what they're trying to play to became the pillar point for them. But we know what we are going through. So anybody who goes against protecting their castle, that they work hard to build, something wrong with them. Something is wrong with them. Like Lennox, so locked and listening.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much, and for very, I should say, should I say, consequential enlightenment. Because, of course, he would have come here armed with, of course, what Marcel would have said. He has left here now with a reality check that, of course, is inconsistent with what Marcel would have said. And Marcel himself, of course, a total and absolute neophyte, and was given an opportunity for which clearly, in my humble estimation, was unprepared. And, of course, plunged into a situation where he really, of course, has become part of my parents like to say the dregs, but I want to say a fragmented PNM. A PNM in total in a shambolic state of affairs. And therefore what is happening here is that they are all over the place seeking sympathy. And as you would have heard, and what I've gleaned from that caller, is that they are getting none. Let me see if this call was coming in, but I see that it has discontinued. Caller, call back. I know some of the calls do not come on the system itself. There are certain people who do not have internet, so they will call me on the device. So I will accommodate that as well. Yeah, like this caller, Mr. Tanapuna, he doesn't have that facilities. But let's go straight. All right, let's go straight here. Pleasant good night. Welcome, Mr. Tanapuna. Oh, sorry, Mr. Tagarigo. Sorry for that. Yes.
Don't make
Oh boy, how could I classify you? How could I give you a nomenclature like that? I mean, I need my head examined.
I be in class was like me, boy.
Yes, all right, go ahead.
Right. I had a call this morning and talking about our cap from Orlando.
Talking about what?
Talking about cap not too old and fragile.
Camilla what?
Was too old and fragile.
Oh, too old and fragile. Yes, I heard that, and I thought it, apart from being disrespectful, I think it was uncalled for. But go ahead.
Yeah, and you wanted all that advertise and see who the people prefer and all this crap.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, using going for to advertise so you pay them. He's a madman.
Yeah.
Now, let me come to the point I want to make to you.
Yes.
One of your favorite resources was Young Turnabout.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Young Turnabout was one of your favorite resources.
Oh yeah, well, mine as well. My father used to under I don't want to say to him, but I could use the word now, under duress. We never wanted to be there, but of course we thought that was big people. We were going to football in one of the parks and play football, but we had to go. But go ahead.
Yeah, I watch me. John, you had one at home that house, yeah?
Yeah.
And that house was unbeatable.
Uh-huh.
So my very good friend,
Uh-huh.
I jockey for Barbados, they brought him back from the States.
Okay.
The rider was called True Goal. The big young turnabout. And you know who was training the horse, Lennox?
All right.
A man in a wheelchair. By the name of Gilbert Ivani. He was crippled now.
Uh-huh.
He just sit down in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And watch young turnabout working every morning.
Okay. That's young turnabout's trainer. Okay.
Oh, that's True Goal trainer. You also Barbados.
Okay.
Who they was bringing to beach young turnabout.
Yeah.
Now the guy who was going to ride that horse was one of my personal friends.
Okay.
And you tell me everything was going on. I said, all right, we'll go wait and see.
All right.
And he beat you out on about.
All right.
The point I want to make to the caller,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be necessary sign up on your legs to rule, you know.
Yeah.
But to be smart, you know, if you have ability, you could rule from a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because the man, you know, on a wheelchair,
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are physically and otherwise. Once you have the ability is ability. I always say that. Yes.
That's right. You could rule the country from a wheelchair.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And I think a former U.S. president carried the United States through the Second World War.
Right.
In a wheelchair. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. And right now in Texas, from now about is a cripple in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And he ruled in Texas, he's the governor there.
Right.
So that fellow who called this morning, and to just say that fellow have a space in the face, and they just feel to talk.
Yeah.
Because they had a hole in the face.
Yeah, incidentally, why she was saying that, what came to my mind immediately in a Caribbean scenario is a former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, I believe it was, at age 80-something or 90-something, he was returned to office.
And you see?
Yeah.
So, them fellas just only talk because they have a mouth and a forum.
Yeah.
But I really handle him very good.
Uh-huh.
You handle him in your own way and tell him if he was here before the general election.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I asked him, I had to put that to him, you know, because it was to another part of the issue that he raised. I was referring to.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was saying, listen to this, people, carefully. He is saying after just about 100 days of the present government in office, having won, of course, handsomely 26 seats, he is saying that there should be some kind of test, some kind of poll to show whether or not the people want the UNC and the present government or the PNM. So I found it strange that so I had to say that he wasn't wrong, apparently, just about 5 months ago. And why would you want such a test so soon after, having regard to all what is being unearthed at this point in time? I say, if you say 2 years and a half, even 2 years, but to tell me that you want that, I thought that was so, what I consider to be, frankly, dishonest and disingenuous.
But if he was on this program tonight, you're not telling me that backside and a half.
Oh yes, certainly, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
You want you to take a poll for the government for that, but I should feel the way you feel on this.
I don't know, but I suppose because we are so liberal on this program as well, we are so liberal that people can say what they wish within, of course, a certain, what I consider to be linguistic limitations. But by and large, you can say, but we reserve the right to respond as we did this morning and as I would do on this program in the night, because they mustn't get away with the nonsense. For example, the caller before you talked about whether or not there was some kind of consultation on stand your ground in the Laventil, because Marcel was spewing that in Point 14. So of course he was speaking to the ignorant and the unesoteric. Of course I had to now disabuse that. So I'm sure those who, even if they have an inclination still for the PNM, would of course reduce that inclination to almost to close to, if not to zero now, because that's a big mistake. How could there be such a consultation that was such a success with such a large portion of the population in that area represented? One and two, it was all over the news the next day. I made my presentation. We had it, of course, on several platforms as well. And how come he didn't know that? So one has to question whether or not he is suited for where he is today. But go ahead.
Sanity is very involved in Lennox. Watch. Beckles. When you ask Beckles why she went up to the seat.
Uh-huh.
But the amount of crap that we want to talk Lennox.
Yes.
She wanted to be there for herself firsthand.
Yeah, I see. I have a look yet. I'll do tonight of that press conference to really get a feel as to where these people are on these various topics. Of course, tomorrow morning I will be focusing. I can tell you one time on the decision of the appeal court with respect to the closure of the borders, and of course they made it very categorical that the constitutional rights of citizens were infringed, and not for the first time. We saw where Rowley unilaterally postponed a local government election. The Privy Council said in non-certain terms, you infringe, of course, people's fundamental right to choose the people that they want to choose in a timely fashion in whatever election it is. So that is another indictment on these people who believe that they could come in office with a slim majority, the slimmest probably ever in the, well, no, I wouldn't say so, because of course we had a 1818 scenario. Yeah, but certainly one of the slimmest majority, and then pursue as a dictator. And even in such circumstance, you don't have a massive mandate. And if you have a massive mandate, you still can't operate like that.
No.
But they did it. Yeah.
Don't forget they had the help of the speaker.
Yeah.
And he said, George, we'll encourage them in all that crap.
Yeah, of course. They have their minions in various strategic national institutions that have facilitated that nonsense. But thank God there's a God, 1 and 2. These things could never last, and we have seen that, as we were saying during the course and before, the calling of an election. We were saying that God cannot stomach in perpetuity the level of abuse and the level of mismanagement and the level of corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and of course the fact that they are 1% as they introduce focus to the detriment of the masses of the people. And that is what that is their track record. They can't get away from that.
No, God put his hand on them and they done.
And of course, true to form, the Lord is patient. I think it was the current Prime Minister who spoke of the he wears pajamas, but he don't sleep.
Boy, thank God, as you say, first to begin with.
Yeah, man.
He put his hand on them.
Yeah, man. Yes, man. All right, we have
And them done falling out.
yeah, we have some more callers coming in. All right, thanks very much.
Yeah, all right, boy, we go talk.
Yes, we talk. Yes, yes, indeed, people. Yeah, very good conversation. You see, and that's why I like these programs, this the Ground Report, of course, and others that generates the built-in fact-checking mechanisms to neutralize. You see, the PNM is so, what I consider to be, out of it. They are so disconcerted. They are so discombobulated, confused. Because you see, they believe that somehow Trinidad and Tobago would have been in a state where they could control the narrative. I want to say thank God for social media. Otherwise, what I'm saying tonight, I would have gotten just about 2 seconds, 2 minutes on the traditional media. Now I could carry on a whole 2 hours if I wish, an hour and a half if I wish, as is the case now, to bring the issues, and most importantly for you to share and to of course express your own concerns, and so we generated the veracity, the sincerity, the facts of existential, historic, and possibly futuristic issues that are affecting all of us, particularly along the East-West corridor, for which, of course, we are committed and dedicated and created this program. That's what this is all about. This is what this is all about. So when I spoke about the whole question of postponing embarrassment, future embarrassment, I couldn't get, unless I'm paying for it, through my teeth, money I don't have. I couldn't even get this on the national, or should I say the government broadcasting platform. This, so critical, so important, to bring, of course, as much as we can up to speed. I'm talking here about, of course, the functional literacy agenda of our empowerment initiative, the MLIO Empowerment Resource Center Initiative. We have to use MLIO, Mobile Lavatil Improvement Organization, because it is a registered school bona fide with the Ministry of Education. Otherwise, I would have changed the name, but no need to reinvent the wheel. It is a school registered, and therefore we're using that so that when we talk to the Ministry of Education or we talk to anybody, they will understand that it is a private education institution that is speaking to them, and it's not something that is vai. I want to tell you as well, I don't think I will look for the article, but I want to tell you this before I move on with our agenda to look at the East-West corridor in particular and in general, and in specific, of course, the immediate community and just beyond, to start with, and to look at this, of course, academic venture to bring up to speed at minimum every young person, every middle-aged person, every senior citizen to become functionally literate. And it will be done in a hospitable environment. I was speaking to you with respect, of course, to our own experience at the MLIO. Notice that the MLIO trade school that we developed and was, of course, very, very, it's apex, it's a peak popularity reached when, of course, the late, great former Prime Minister and President Robinson, Ian R. Robinson, would have come and visited our program every month religiously as Prime Minister, because he saw something that was going on there where, of course, 300-400 students, parents, well-wishers would assemble and participating in our monthly parent-teachers, students meetings, and he would be invited, and he made it his duty to be there in very inhospitable conditions. Inhospitable. The roof wasn't good, the dust. It was a huge, let me take this one. Sorry about that, Mr. San Fernando. Call back, please. Sorry about that. I was a bit tardy in my response to, of course, letting you in. Yeah. So I'm not talking ad hominem or talking vike or without experience. So I was making a point before, of course, I go to the issue that I saw in today's papers that I want to raise with you. As I said, I will not look for the article, but I think it's very instructive and consistent with what we are talking about tonight and previous nights and into the future. You see, what we did, we saw the problem of young people being illiterate coming to the program, and then we looked at the way how the facility was structured. There was an area that was high above everywhere else on the compound, and we put the class up there. So you had to go out of your way to get up there, because the material that was being taught, a person who had and have, of course, a firm understanding of the alphabet, usually would laugh at what was being taught there. Yeah, we had to start literally at the level of the alphabet, yes, and the sounding out of words and so on, homonyms and of course phonics, as it is called. But let's go to the line. We don't want to frustrate, of course, the callers. A pleasant good night who are making their contribution. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hello?
Welcome, yes.
Yeah, this is San Fernando here. I was listening to you. I want to make one point here tonight.
You go ahead.
I was listening to your caller who called from, I think it's Point Fortin.
Yes.
Who was saying if the UNC had any crime consultation in a PNM area.
Yes, they didn't have any consultations in the PNM area. Suggested that somehow, of course, putting into the mix a racial flavor. And of course, it's so despicable at these fellas, these people. As soon as they are out of office, having done badly to the people, they then, of course, looking for any port for a storm. and that is where they're going. But they have gone mad, frankly. Go ahead.
Who was saying that, Marcel? Who was saying that, Marcel?
Yeah, Marcel was, according to the caller, I don't have I cannot verify, but is a reliable caller from Point Fortin. So I would say that it happened because that is normal for them to do. But go ahead.
But I want to say this, right? Even though we live in San Fernando West, right? San Fernando West and East was controlled by the PNM in the last election.
Right?
right? And there was a consultation
Well, look at that.
on crime
So you're in the
in
south.
San Fernando.
I am in the north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the Naparima College in San Fernando.
Well, look at that.
Remember, I think this guy from, I think is either Tobago or Saccariga.
So he must have felt two things, that he could get, he have a license to say that, to generate, of course, racial overtones, and at the same time believe that people in Point Fortin are fools, and therefore wouldn't know, because corridor transformation doesn't exist, it appears. Don't be surprised if you say that corridor transformation doesn't exist, you know. Go ahead.
But
hello? We seem to have lost him, people. He was now on a roll, so call back Mr. San Fernando. Once, of course, you have the capacity so to do. So I was making the point about having a class. All right. Mr. Point Fortin has called back. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox,
yeah.
Let me just clarify something. It wasn't Curry Massey that made that statement. It's one of the people in the audience. But what I said.
Oh, one of the people in the audience. I see. Okay.
The panel didn't correct him. When he started to use them
statements. Oh, you mean he didn't correct him? All right, okay, I understand.
Yeah, they didn't correct him.
Okay, right, okay. Right. Well, I think Thank you very much for that clarification. But of course, the substantive issue that I raised and the comment was made, I don't think that would have shifted the position, because, as you rightly said, he had a responsibility to say that that was not so. But of course, so he vicariously, whether it wasn't direct, but he piggybacked on the audience statement because it was politically prudent for him to do so, to get, of course, unmeritorious political mileage. Well, we still continue to disabuse and to tell the population it was never so. All right? And I thank the San Fernando caller for, of course, indicating that there was consultation there. And that even makes it even worse. And in that forum in Point Fortin, Marcel and they had a duty and responsibility to correct the presenter in the audience, and did not do it, obviously. So people would have left with the notion, which we must now disabuse, but would have left with the notion that the UNC only went in their own constituencies, and therefore reinforcing the perception that it was about, of course, an Indian African thing. But and why Marcel and they will have no excuse for not correcting. Have no excuse for not correcting, because on the platform, and when this notion in the local government elections campaign was being projected by the UNC, the then Prime Minister was talking about a man go and pick a mango and so on. So I am saying categorically, I have no mercy, and there should be not even a morsel, not even a whimper of any kind of correction as far as the responsibility of Marcel and they to correct the audience. And since they did not, it means therefore it shows a consistency. Consistency, let's not waste time. Because they know very well, just as their target with respect to property tax, that they intimidated, of course, the Indian community in particular, because they believe that they have money, at least more than the African community. And I want to say categorically as well that is why the changing of polymer to, or should I say, changing of cotton notes to polymer was also instituted to get the mattress money from a large section of the Indian community in particular, who would have a bank phobia or do business, cash business, and therefore the $100 bill would have been, of course, the note of choice that they will keep at home, in the vault, in the mattress, wherever. And Rowley and they understood that and knew that, and they implemented that bogus initiative, saying that somehow drug cartels and money launderers target the $100 bill. They even have a good argument self. Because as I have said and continue to repeat, which drug cartel want Trinidad and Tobago blue note? And I always make a mockery when the opportunity presents itself of Stuart Young, because he was the one that was touting that, what I consider to be obtuse, nonsensical diatribe, putrid, when he said that money launderers and, of course, those cartels use the bill, the $100 bill, TT, to pursue their illicit activities. So I had to say, out of an abundance of caution and out of making it lucidly clear that Stuart Young have been talking and is a producer of hogwash, innuendos, deceptions, and is a man that is a habitual liar. Habitual liar. So when he says that is being used by these elements, I then created, of course, a scenario. And I said I would like Stuart Young, as part of a sting operation launched by the police or the Coast Guard, whosoever, and arrange to meet a drug lord or a drug shipment in the Gulf of Paria, and hopefully, and I would say now, the deepest part of the Gulf of Paria. And he must load up a pirogue with only Trinidad and Tobago blue notes, $100 bills, to pay for that shipment. And as the transaction draw closer to be completed, he must now, when receiving, of course, it's a sting operation, so they're trying to catch the culprit. When they pass over the drug, he must now give them a pile of blue notes. But I wanted, and of course the conclusion is, immediately we'll be looking for the pirogue and the blue notes in the bottom of the Gulf of Paria. And at the time, of course, I went on to say it would have been happy riddance. Happy riddance. Because it is ridiculous, stupid. And then, of course, saying that they didn't have no connection to the banks. But yet still they know that a barber went and, for exchange purposes, $1 million to be exchanged, and somehow justifies that asinine concoction manufacture that has no correlation with what the central bank intention was. And all they did, they manufactured a scenario, because they have that, as I've always said, that phantasmagorical propensity to what? To manufacture stories that in themselves is incredulous or incredible, and push it on the people simply because they hold the office of Prime Minister, National Security, and of course subsequently Minister of Energy. Bunch of incompetent, impotent, conmen and conwomen. That's what they were commandeering government and abusing the highest office in the country. And they have the audacity to come in our faces today and talking about what? Revival? Talking about what? Penny, you could go how much you want and follow the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, any part of the globe, you go. You go. It will have no political traction for you, the PNM, because the population know you for who you are now. And they are prepared to be tolerant, because no way any self-respecting Trinbagonian will know, and we pointed it out during the course of the campaign so that it is not far-fetched for them to be examining URP, CPEP, forestry, and all of the other institutions that consumed our financial resources on the backs of what? Of taxpayers. Having said that, I want to say that I would expect that the necessary investigations to be quickly, expeditiously pursued and action taken. I know that in the government service there is, of course, a tendency for tardiness, but we also have to cushion that or fashion that against the background that the poor people have to eat, and they live on a day-to-day basis on these little make-work programs. And so, of course, I would like to see an expeditious conclusion to the investigations that are necessary, and those who are culpable be brought to justice. That being as it may, a pleasant good night to Tobago.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
Tobago. Good night.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't understand, right? I really didn't understand that licking they get in the election. I didn't know that all of them brain would scatter like that.
All of them what?
The brain, all of them brain just gone.
Oh yeah. It's a bunch of fried brains. Fried brains. Yeah.
I don't know if Camilla rushed them on the brain. But these people just talking a pack and nonsense for big people.
Yes.
Young children doesn't listen to them no more because they find them not making sense. Just imagine a fella, a next one who lost his brain, called this morning, he wants a survey. Look, these people now gone in office, he wants a survey. Why you going to survey Iran or whatever he could survey where he live in? These fellows right in the head? These fellows, Lennox, these people that pretend they are UNC followers. They are not UNC, you know. These fellas, you could see the snake in the grass with some of them, you know. We have to follow strong.
Yeah, Mr. Sylvester, Mr. Silver Fox, sometimes I believe that the PNM is so brazen that they will tell lies off the cuff, whereas the UNC is so tolerant, so receptive. They're like a sponge. They absorb and absorb and absorb. And I think that might be one of the exploitative areas that persons take liberty of focusing upon, because they know that there is no consequence, because the UNC will see that as water on duck back, and therefore they will make their statement. But it is for you and I to reject, as you are doing.
Look, some of them playing doctor. They know how long Camilla go last for. Just imagine we are scientists now coming on the ground report.
Yes.
These fellas, and look this next one. Look how long the bus giving trouble in Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM. And this fella every morning will come, the bus break down, the bus this, the bus that.
Well, this morning I had to talk about Kubo right through.
Why he has stopped running down bus and run down woman?
Yeah.
Stop running down bus and run down woman. He's making no sense.
Yeah, somehow
Wow.
he believed that could be connected to incompetence and to get rid of a particular minister so early in the life of this administration. But that other pink donkey, he will not see. That is wishful thinking.
Let me tell you something. The UNC right now come to stay. The UNC come to change our lives. We need a better living.
Yes.
And we having a better living. I don't understand, like, some people just like punishment.
That's so true. I mean, it is it's almost axiomatic that people simply love punishment. They know what the PNM has given, but yet still they say that one or two of them will still say, one or two of them, let me repeat, one or two of them will still say, best we leave the PNM there. And they know the kind of punishment that would have been meted out to them. But of course, like a bad relationship, I think it's Archbishop Burke would have made that statement famous when she said that the relationship between the Baptist community and the PNM is one of where the husband beat the wife to a frazzle. But go ahead.
Yes, because these people, like they still get out of slavery.
Yeah.
These people can't, and a slave is one who can't think for themselves. And these people is not thinking for themselves. Just imagine the food start coming on the table and they're still quarreling about that. Eh? They're still quarreling. But this honorable little woman, the strength she have, the strength she will be possessing, and the strength the people have around her, they are moving that lady for nothing at all. They
Yes,
trying
yes,
all
and some-
things, CARICOM and all trying to get rid of she. Right?
They're trying to adjust that to,
And they're trying to undermine this lady.
yeah. But
And want to talk about, you see, they're fooling the people. Eh?
yeah.
Let me tell you something. You see in Gaza, with these people in Gaza,
Yeah.
right? These people don't, these Lebanon people, these people in Gaza don't like black people, you know. I went through a documentary that, you know, they don't like black people, you know. Black people up there is black people that buy from black people, you know.
No, it's just a voter bank. They
Right?
want them for to
They
exploit
don't
them
like black people
to
up
stay
there,
in
no.
government. Yeah, that small
And then
group
they
of
become-
individuals. Yeah.
All they had to tell the people, let go the people and them, and everything done. Right? But they're getting on like one side wrong, one side right. You can't kidnap my people and and telling me don't do nothing. Yeah? If somebody take your son now, Lennox, you can't sleep. Every time you hear a knock, a touch on your door, you jump in.
Yeah.
Everything making you jump. You can jump until you got nervous breakdown. Yeah?
Okay.
Lennox.
All right.
Well, I'll leave it now.
Okay then, my friend. Thanks very much for that intervention, Tobago. All right, yes, indeed. Boy, always passionate and always, of course, on the button. People, the time, let me just take up my glasses here. I can't believe it. It is 9:49, but 9:47. But I know we started late, and therefore, of course, compensation for the difference, the resultant difference. So I think has already been exhausted. So let me just conclude. We will continue with this on Saturday, not tomorrow, on Saturday. Only to say that, of course, let me conclude that scenario with respect to the literacy program, functionally literacy program that we intend to roll out, and some of which will be done on separate program, maybe separate times, maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday, as the case may be. Yeah, I reach a stage where my commitment is indivisible to Trinidad and Tobago. So long as the PNM stays out of our way, I am prepared to work, and I made that very, very, very clear during the course of the campaign and prior. Right? And I have no difficulty in doing what I am doing in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago and being satisfied that the UNC is the place to be, and of course with the coalition, and I have the fortunate disposition, or should I say pleasure, to be part and parcel of the coalition of interest. Of course, love, yes, look at here, make sure that. Love, Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. I want to talk about how that came about as part of the progress, but I will leave you to think, and on Saturday we will go into it a little more deeper. Why love came about and how it came about in the context of progress for communities such as Laventille, Beetham, Sealats, etc. I will save it. I don't think it will. I could do justice to the reason why you have a political organization dedicated to only the Laventilles and East Port of Spain, and why. All right, but let me just conclude by saying that yes, we separate them, and in the classroom scenario itself, if a person can't spell car, or can't spell you, or can't spell can, nobody is expected to mock them or to in any way try to humiliate them. You can't spell car, boy. You can't spell can, girl. What the teachers are trained to do, whenever a person begins to humiliate such an individual, because the teachers accept a fundamental principle of education, and that is, if you won't expose, the likelihood that you may not, and if you didn't focus, the likelihood that you may not be able to spell the word car. That's the fundamental principle that every teacher that we train to teach those classes. Because the person who is laughing and is in the class because they could spell car, they find it that it is easy to spell car. But car may be a word, the spoken word, that everybody uses. Everybody know what a car is. But the person who cannot spell car may not be exposed to the actual letters that comprise the word car for written communication purposes. But they could pronounce all kinds of words. House, man, television, etc. But when coming to spelling it for examination purposes, that is where the problem is. So it's not that they don't know. So therefore, such a person, if they laugh at the person who can spell car, the teacher, the instructor is trained to now turn on that person and give that person a word that they're almost certain they can't spell. And you neutralize the thing there one time. Not that the person who can't spell car is expected to laugh at the person who can't spell the word that was given to them because they were laughing at the person who couldn't spell car. Not that. But you want to make the person who could spell car laughing at the person who can't spell car understand that all of us are in the same boat and with one purpose: to become functionally literate. And people learn at different rates, yes, and at different speed. First time you're hearing that, not so? Yeah, first time, and I know that those of you who are around are saying, when Mr. Smith, that class will start. Because that is exactly why I do not, or put another way, avoid going to these literacy classes. You see, experience is the best teacher. At one time, almost every community center in Laventille, and God knows there are plenty, just as how there are plenty churches, probably more churches than anywhere else, but yet still, of course, that's the place where crime and criminality seem to abound in a very profuse way. But the point I'm making is, very enthusiastic class that there is a Ministry of Community Development having a literacy program. They wouldn't call it literacy, they may call it a different way, like how we would do. We wouldn't call it literacy, we will call it academic excellence classes. Terms like that to get away from the stigmatization of literacy, because when you say going to a literacy class means that the person is illiterate. We don't know that already, so you don't say that. You say that, of course, they are what? They are engaged, of course, in academic excellence, opportunity, whatever you want to call it. We will have the appropriate word, but you understand my gist. What is that all about? To get them into the classes. But as I said, at one time, all over Laventille had these literacy classes, and people will come in. Maybe the class will start with 20, 30. And by the time the second week, if not the second day, it boils down to one or two persons. One or two persons in a community where, of course, there is a necessity for this kind of intervention, but because of the methodology of delivery, they become disenchanted. They become, of course, disinterested, and they don't look forward to the next day. I can assure you that which MLIO Empowerment Resource Center will be providing, you will long to come. I'm going as far as to tell you that we are going to look at and explore opportunities where various ministries as well as embassies and other NGOs, non-governmental organizations, or as it is generically called, civil society institutions, including the police and so on, to give some time. It is an exercise with a built-in administrative nightmare, because sometimes, because it's volunteer, a volunteer could tell you one time, look, I can't come today, I have to find somebody to sleep in there. A fellow will tell you, well, look, we want you on a Wednesday. They say they could only come on a Friday. All of that, the administrators have to grapple with. But it is a task that is worth pursuing. I'm going to damn well pursue it. So people, of course, look forward to it. So I thought I should give you that anecdote. As I said, I'm going to tell you on Saturday why MLIU, why, of course, Love Laventille Outreach for Political Enrichment, why this political entity was created as part of the progress agenda that is of an imperative, particularly in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago and the modern world. Don't forget, of course, we will be looking at computer literacy, computer literacy as well. We could use the word literacy here for computer because the technology is such that everybody is fascinated about and will gravitate. So we could use the pure term computer literacy, but to say you're having a literacy program, no. We're going to say that we have academic excellence, delivery, and capacity building. Some big time terminology So make them feel important as we come there and we interact in the way that I've just described. So look forward to that, of course. East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealets, and so on. And I know that the young men and they will allow you to come. They have already told me that it's the first time they've seen so many people walking up George Street, but when they look to see, they are coming, of course, to our empowerment center for whatever reason. Today, of course, I felt very, very elated that a young man who, of course, had engaged in the organizing of soccer and so on, last night he came to me around 10 o'clock, yes, and said that, listen, he got a job, but he got a potential, he have an interview today. He has not yet returned to let me know what transpired, but the fact that his skills was recognized and therefore they decided to give him a job. So he came back today for his resume, which he left for me to print for him. And of course, I immediately last night, and that is another thing with these politicians and these parliamentary representatives. They're too damn lazy. Things that you could do in a second, they want you to come back to give this air of importance and complication. So last night, he said, Mr. Smith, well, I want a recommendation. I said, no problem. And when he came back after the program last night, he had 3 copies of a recommendation. I'll probably read it for you on Saturday, leaving out his name, of course. But just to make you understand, that is the kind of facilitation we're talking about. We have too many illiterate persons, and illiterate here is from an academic perspective. Let's take our final call. Call from Faizabad. I was wondering whether or not we would have been without Mr. Faizabad tonight, but clearly I shouldn't say disappointed, but at least he made certain that I couldn't even entertain that notion. Go ahead, Mr. Faizabad.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and to all your listeners.
Yes, man.
In East, West, North, and South, and all in sundries.
Yes.
And I want to let the listeners know that Uncle Lennox is making headway. And we need a little finance. Not the one that's bite here, we the one that they can exchange to get materials to continue the good work. And donate a little, because a little donation is good. Because the good Lord say, if given, you will receive. And the evangelical preachers and others say, when you sow a seed, it mushroom into an apple tree, and an apple a day keep the doctor away. So when Moses had get the mantle to set his people free, Uncle Lennox take up his mantle to set the people in bondage in Laventille, to let them know that it have hope. So Uncle Lennox, I feel you want a banner from your show, but I call you to interrupt you, because the same thing you're talking about was to take a day, right? The politicians just want to take it 10 years. So I have a little bit of good news for your listeners, and I will ask you kindly for permission to disperse this information on your medium.
Yeah, by all means, man, by
Right?
all means. You know you will always have my ears and, of course, my listenership and audience. Go ahead.
So I'd like to follow protocol and ask, right? Thank you.
Yes.
Today, a recipient for prosthetic, right, was called to the Diwali Nagar. And from this morning at 11 a.m., right, to this evening around 7 p.m., the recipient, a double amputee, is walking and looking to make strides in 1 day time, Uncle Lennox. 1 day, less than
Good
12
news, good news.
hours.
That's music to my ears, man. Well.
Right?
Go ahead.
And to show that our esteemed political leader, the Honorable The Honorable Miss Kamla Prasad Bisesa SC is working towards making citizens better, comfortable, and happier than the stinking, taxing, lying, piping, and proven thieving PNM. Because it had the evidence now. Because 145 billion US borrow and 175 billion dollars budgeted, you see nothing for the people. And then it have a leader called Penny, family benefit. But you see the people in Arima, they're suffering. And you know the PNM, they tell the supporters, we is family, we is one family, we is the PNM family. They take good care of them, but which one? So Uncle Lennox, I want to repeat again, within 12 hours, right? A double amputee have his prosthetic. So I want to say thank you to our Honorable Prime Minister. Promise make, promise kept. And looking forward to serving others. Patient, my friends, it coming. Have a good night, Uncle Lennox, and thank you.
I think that is a perfect event disclosed to, of course, close the program. You don't want anything better than that. Literacy, physical, let's say, adjustments so that you become more comfortable, your quality of life improves immediately because you're more mobile. He said a double amputee, meaning both legs cut off. And clearly that person would have been confined to a wheelchair, therefore a paraplegic. Probably that wheelchair could now be given to someone else. I don't know, depending of course on the use and the position of the beneficiary on this occasion. I did have, I want to say in that vein, someone that is just round the corner who is a single amputee, and he did inquire about that prosthetic leg program. He said he was waiting on me or expected that I would acknowledge his presence. But I want to say that Mikey would normally say, and why he may sound harsh, but at times, in terms of his philosophical disposition at times, but he loves to, of course, give you the harsh reality. He always talks about the harsh reality rather than false hopes. But of course, he said that an open mouth will never get fed. Some words to that effect. I don't know if it's can't remember if it's the correct words. So those of you who have been following Mikey would know. An open mouth, a closed mouth never get fed. So your mouth had to be open, in other words, for it to be fed. So in other words, you have to make a move yourself. The young man last night, he came. He didn't go elsewhere. He came. Where? He could have gone not too far from here by what? By who? Yes, by the bicycle man, by the breadfruit man, by the coal pot man. Yeah, talking about Scotland. But his office is shut tight. I'm still open. And I have gone, it's now what? It's now 10 o'clock already. I've gone beyond the 9:30 deadline. Who would you trust? Who would you want to give your support? Well, Saturday, I'm going to tell you where you do it, how you do it. You already know why, because you want your life improved. Where is Scotland tonight? But tomorrow morning they will call some press conference in some air-conditioned luxury and bellow to you self-righteous indignation stories that they themselves will never pursue. Ride bike my foot to work my foot. roast breadfruit on a coal pot, my backside. Yes, of course, it's a English word. You have a front side and you have a backside. Of course, you could deepen the connotation when I say backside, but I will leave that up to you. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you on Saturday night. And don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the Gong Report, Andy, Mikey, and myself. Andy has, of course, come out, and he said that you are motivating him to come out. And please continue to motivate him, because nobody could engage the audience that we have on a daily basis like Andy, in terms of his various, what I consider to be, I wouldn't say, his various antics that he has on air. I am not of that ilk. I am more concise, precise, developmental, and I take no prisoners. I take no prisoners. And I view my task not just as spiritual and divine, but in the service of my fellow men in particular, and human beings in general. Not that Andy is not doing the same, but his methodology is different. That's all. So we're doing the same thing, methodology different. I would, of course, put mechanism in place to advance. He would make a joke about something and so on and so forth, but will not go beyond that. I go beyond. I want to see capacity building. I want to see all of our young people do well. And I want to see a quality of life and standard of living for all of the people, whether it be youth, mothers, children, middle-aged, and senior citizens. So once again, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and we will, of course, end as we started, with respect, of course, to what is happening in the ghetto. I hope that I'm not subjected to any kind of intellectual sanction if I play this one. Let me see if I could just play a little bit of it. Yes, indeed.
As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, poor little baby child is born in the ghetto. In the ghetto.
Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto. If there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. And the world turns, and a hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the street as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? The child needs a helping hand, or he'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? Well, the world turns. A hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the street as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. at night. He learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. And one night in desperation, a young man breaks away. Buys a gun, he steals a car, he tries to run, but he don't get far. In the ghetto, in the ghetto. And he's
There was a little black boy was he. The boy went to school and he come out unseen. Never learn how to read, he never learn about math. Never learn how to write, he never study about that. All he study was his speakers, his sneakers and clothes. He learned how to dress and he learned how to pose. He can't get no work, he can't get no job. He decide to steal and he decide to rob. But little black boy couldn't last long at all. The police put a bullet through his dunce head skull. Little black boy, go to school and learn. Little black boy, show some concern. Little black boy, education is the key to get you off the street and off poverty. Little black boy, go to school and learn. Little black boy, show some concern. Little black boy, education is the key to get you off the street and all poverty.